Civil rights. First Amendment, right of the people peaceably to assemble. Definition and importance. Guarantees the right of the people to peaceably assemble, allows citizens to gather in groups for various purposes, protects freedom of speech and political expression, connects to the civil rights movement and its events. 13th Amendment, abolition of slavery, ratified in 1865, ended the institution of slavery in the United States, transformed the status of African Americans, connects to the civil rights movement and the fight for equality. 14th Amendment, Equal Protection Clause, ratified in 1868, mandates equal protection under the law, instrumental in civil rights cases and combating discrimination, connects to the fight against racial segregation and discrimination. 15th Amendment, voting rights for African American men, ratified in 1870, granted African American men the right to vote, significant step toward political equality, connects to the civil rights movement and voting rights activism. 1946 as described in TTT. Crucial period in the civil rights movement. Increased activism and demands for civil rights. Laid the groundwork for later successes. Reflects the historical context of the movement. 1950 as described in class discussion. Key events in the civil rights movement. Legal battle against segregation in public schools. Rise of prominent civil rights leaders and organizations. Highlights pivotal moments and individuals in the movement. EJI Equal Justice Initiative, nonprofit organization for criminal justice reform, founded by Bryan Stevenson, fights against racial and economic injustice, provides legal representation to the wrongly convicted, aligns with the goals of the civil rights movement. Ella Baker, prominent civil rights activist and organizer, played a crucial role in the civil rights movement, instrumental in the formation of the SCLC, emphasized grassroots organizing and empowering local communities, influenced the movement's strategies and successes. Governor Ross Barnett, governor of Mississippi and segregationist, opposed desegregation efforts, involved in conflicts with civil rights activists, symbolizes resistance to civil rights progress in the South. Gwendolyn Brooks, celebrated African American poet, addressed social and racial issues in her poetry, contributed to the cultural and artistic aspects of the movement, shed light on the African American perspective. Elizabeth Eckford, desegregation activist and Little Rock Nine member, played a pivotal role in desegregating Central High School, faced intense opposition and racial hostility, symbolizes the determination for equal educational opportunities. Eyes on the Prize, Awakenings, 1954-1956. Documentary series on the civil rights movement, covers key events and individuals in the early years of the movement, provides insights into strategies and successes, comprehensive view of the important period in American history. Fair Employment Practices Committee, Federal Agency for Employment Equality, established during World War II, promoted equal job opportunities and fair treatment, highlighted the need for equal employment opportunities. Great Migration, mass movement of African Americans, from the rural South to the urban North and West, driven by economic opportunities and escaping racial discrimination, had a profound impact on urbanization and demographics. Interposition, legal doctrine used to oppose civil rights initiatives, invoked by some southern states during the civil rights movement, argued states had the authority to protect their sovereign rights, used to resist desegregation efforts but ultimately rejected. Judas and the Black Messiah, biographical drama film on Fred Hampton, explores the dynamics of the civil rights movement, sheds light on government surveillance and struggles for equality, highlights challenges and betrayals faced by activists. Loving v. Virginia, landmark Supreme Court case on interracial marriage, struck down state laws prohibiting interracial marriage, significant victory for civil rights and dismantling segregation, contributed to the fight against racial discrimination. Medgar Evers, civil rights activist and NAACP field secretary, organized voter registration efforts and challenged segregation, assassinated in 1963, becoming a martyr for the cause, highlighted the dangers faced by activists. Enmod National Museum of African American History and Culture, Smithsonian institution dedicated to African American history, preserves and showcases the history and contributions of African Americans, features exhibitions on the civil rights movement, valuable resource for understanding the movement's context and impact. MPG, the Struggle for Justice exhibit, National Portrait Gallery exhibit on the civil rights movement, features portraits and artworks depicting key figures and events, provides a visual representation of the movement's leaders and activists, highlights their contributions to civil rights and social justice. 8. Philip Randolph, civil rights leader and labor organizer, founded the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, advocated for workers' rights and civil rights, organized the 1963 March on Washington. Bayard Rustin, civil rights activist and strategist, expertise in nonviolent protest and organizing, organized the 1963 March on Washington, advocate for civil rights and social justice. Second Great Migration, mass movement of African Americans, from the South to the North and West, driven by economic opportunities and escaping racial segregation, had a profound impact on demographics and culture. Shelley v. Kramer, Supreme Court case on racially restrictive covenants, ruled that state courts could not enforce such covenants. Important step toward dismantling racial housing discrimination, part of the legal context of the civil rights movement. White Citizens Council, white supremacist organizations in the South, opposed desegregation and civil rights initiatives, used economic and social pressure to maintain racial segregation, represented resistance to civil rights progress. Organizations and movements. SNCC Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, formed in 1960 to give younger blacks more of a voice in the civil rights movement known for its activism in the South. SCLC Southern Christian Leadership Conference, an African-American civil rights organization, closely associated with its first president, Martin Luther King Jr. Core Congress of Racial Equality, played a pivotal role in the civil rights movement known for its Freedom Rides Nation of Islam, an African-American political and religious movement known for advocating black self-sufficiency and the separation of black and white Americans. Black Panthers, a black power political organization founded in 1966, focused on fighting police brutality and providing social services in black neighborhoods. Key events and legislation. Selma March, series of civil rights marches in 1965 in Alabama highlighted the struggle for black voting rights. Voting Rights Act of 1965 prohibited racial discrimination in voting, a landmark piece of federal legislation in the United States. Civil Rights Act of 1964 outlawed segregation in public places, banned employment discrimination. March on Washington, massive protest march in Washington, D.C. in August 1963, advocated for civil and economic rights for African Americans. Birmingham, Alabama protest, series of civil rights demonstrations in Birmingham in 1963, met with violent responses from local authorities. Civil rights issues and concepts. Integration, the process of ending racial segregation, bringing people of different races into equal membership in society. Black voting rights, struggle to ensure African Americans had the right to vote free from discriminatory practices like literacy tests and poll taxes. De jure segregation, racial segregation that is enforced by law. De facto segregation, segregation that exists by practice and custom, not by legal requirement. Nonviolent protest, a form of protest without the use of violence, widely used during the civil rights movement under leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. Key figures in the civil rights movement. Malcolm X, African-American Muslim minister and human rights activist, prominent figure during the civil rights movement. James Meredith became the first African-American to attend the University of Mississippi in 1962, a pivotal moment in the civil rights movement. Martin Luther King Jr., prominent leader in the civil rights movement, famous for his "I Have a Dream" speech during the March on Washington in 1963. Support for civil rights. Viticulture, President John F. Kennedy's endorsement and promotion of civil rights, including proposing the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Freedom Rides, civil rights activists who rode interstate buses into the segregated southern United States in 1961, challenged the non-enforcement of Supreme Court decisions. NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, African-American civil rights organization in the United States, formed in 1909, Anniston, Alabama, site of a violent incident in 1961, where a bus carrying Freedom Riders was attacked by a white mob.